Hi everyone, it's Ella from Ella Web Design and welcome to my podcast from 0 to 25K for women who want to start and grow a profitable business working from home part-time. And today you are for a treat because I'm joined by Yasmin Vorajee. And Yasmin is a business strategist and marketing coach, and she's an award-winning author of the book Tiny Time and Big Results. And today we will be talking about how to create a clear and compelling message that attracts your ideal clients. Hi, Jasmine, how are you?
I'm great, Ella. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you very much for accepting the invitation. Yasmin, maybe before we'll start, we go to the topic, maybe you would like to introduce yourself.
Sure. So, like I said, I'm Yasmin Vorajee. I'm the creator and founder of Tiny Time, Big Results, which is all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs, primarily coaches, consultants, people who are experts in their field, to grow their business working 20 hours a week or less. I have 3 young children myself. They're 12, 9, and 6. And I started my business 11 years ago when my eldest was only 15 months old. I'd been in corporate for 12 years before that. And it was so interesting because I had 3 hours a day. When he was in creche, I had 3 hours to get my work done and everything. And I remember boring myself with the complaint that I didn't have enough time. I was like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And then I just got to the point where I was like, well, you want more kids, you're never going to have more time. So how can I make this work? And that's really where Tiny Time Big Results was born. It was out of a necessity for me because I needed to know how to make it work. Because, you had all these entrepreneurs saying, you've got to work 100 hours a week and you've got to do all these long days and long hours. And I was like, I don't have that. I genuinely don't have that. I've got to go and pick kids up. I've got to feed them. I've got to do all of the other things. So for me, it was the drive was how to make the business work in these little pockets of time that I do have.
Yeah, brilliant. So you were saying you started your online business how many years ago?
11 years ago.
11 years ago, yeah. And
I don't know where that's gone.
Yeah, it goes so quickly. It's only when I'm looking at my kids and I'm saying, oh my goodness, it's already.
I know, yeah. It's like my eldest is now like my height. Now I'm not tall anyway. I'm like 5'3". But he's now my height too. And it's like, wow, he was a baby when I started,
Yeah, so for sure it's even more difficult when you have a baby. I started my business when my kids went to school. So then I knew that I have this 3 to 4 hours, sure, per day to work on my business. Anyway, so this podcast is for people who just starting the business. So tell me, when have you hit your first 25K? How was your journey from 0 to 25K?
It's so interesting. I'm trying it's so funny trying to look back because I'm like thinking, God, when did I hit that milestone? And for me, it happened quite quickly. But also I did spend the first 2 years of my business in like marketing wilderness. Like even though I'd worked in big business for 12 years, I had no clue how to market myself. I had no clue how to sell. I was terrible at both of those things. And yet somehow I was still able to sell something. And so I think, I was able to hit the 25K, like say within the first couple of years. And then it was really about learning and getting better at the marketing and the sales. And also what I've done, what I've offered has changed over the years as well. And that's been an interesting journey for me as well, because being in business is really powerful personal development because
big time.
because I would notice, I kind of think, okay, you were building a lot of momentum there. And then it was like a snap back. It's like, oh, what happened there? And it's like the self-sabotage kicks in and all the other stuff that kicks in, like imposter syndrome. And like, oh, I couldn't possibly be making this much money from not working much. There was guilt. There was almost like a shame about, I'm not working that much. Like, can I be making this kind of money if I'm not working that much? So it's been really interesting. And it's only kind of as I've dug deeper into my own level of awareness about, why did you stop yourself there? Why did you pull back? Why did you kind of almost like pull on the reins and make the horse stop? And like in that time, then I had my daughter and then I had my son. And funnily enough, when you were talking about your kids going back to school, when my youngest started school and I knew like I'd have more time, we decided to get a puppy at that stage.
Maybe.
Another baby. And I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? And then like he was way more work. I mean, he's lying down here next to me now. He's nearly 2. But I was like, what the hell was I thinking? Yeah.
It was too easy. It was too easy. But coming back to your 25K, so it wasn't in the first year, because I just want to show people that, there is some coaches that promise you will get like, 10,000 in 3 months or 6 months. It's impossible. It's just impossible.
Well, do you know what I would say, Ella? It's not impossible.
Okay.
Everything is possible. Yeah, everything is possible. But for what I teach now, I often think to myself, like, God, if I knew this when I started.
Yeah.
But I only know this now because of everything that I've done and everything that I've been through. So it's kind of like a useless thing to say to myself anyway. Like, but I often say to myself, like, and for when I'm talking to my clients, it's like, if I could start again, this is what I would do. This is what I would focus on. And then it is easier to make the money. Like I always think about, like get started and like start thinking of like 2 to 3K. Obviously take into account your expenses and your bills and all that kind of stuff to get a number that you feel really good with, that you kind of, I know you were talking about like say 2.5K, 3K. That tends to be like the amount that people to make. It can be easy to get distracted by people talking about 50K months and 100K months when people are going, I really love 3K a month. That would feel really expansive to me. And I remember early on, I was talking to a coach, like a potential coach to work with. And she asked me what my income goal was. And I said, I'd love to make 3K. And she was like, oh my God, is that all? And she was really like sneery. And I felt really attacked for that. And I was like, that number's my number. That feels good to me. So like, I'm a big fan of like, your number is your number.
Yeah. You
decide. But there are key things that you need to have in place. And when you have that plan and you work that plan, you can get that. It's just a matter of being really focused on the strategy, but also thinking about who you're being as well. It's like, how do you show up?
Yeah, but I think, you need also time to figure out what you want, what what model of the business works the best for you, with what people you want to work. It takes time. You cannot nobody will give you, like, it's very misleading on the market right now that, nobody will give you the receipt, like a receipt for, success in like you will have money in 6 months. It takes time. You have to figure it out yourself. Okay, you have a help. You can get the next steps, but in fact, it has to suit you. Yeah. So
I absolutely agree with you in that, because I don't think, like, we often think that if I sit here and I'll just be like, I'll think and I'll really, really think hard. Clarity doesn't come from that. Clarity comes from actually the doing. And so I'm a big fan of messy action, of like actually just getting into it. And that's kind of what I did, was I just kind of dived in and just went, right, let's try different things. And that will help you get clearer, but don't put yourself under the pressure of thinking I have to have this all nailed perfectly.
Yeah.
Because even though like my tagline has been tiny time big results since 2014, what I've done underneath that umbrella has changed many, many times. Clarity, levels of clarity, all of those things have evolved. So it's like, you know what? No one pays as much attention to what we're doing as we do, right? No one's going to know that last year I was talking about this. They're not paying that much attention. So it really doesn't matter. And it's like, just let yourself experiment. Let yourself be the scientist in the lab and go, I wonder if this would work. I wonder if this would work. And just give, ease up and have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah. And how it was in your way, in your case, was it a steady grow, or you have like a moment of breakthrough, then suddenly something clicked and you said, oh, now my business really took off. Do you have a point in your business like this, or it was just a steady grow?
I think for me, the kind of pivotal year for me was when I published my book. So when I published my book, Tiny Time Big Results, that was a moment that everything kind of clicked into place. And not necessarily like,
because I think, probably when you were writing, also it's clear in your head.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it was so interesting because what I did with the thing. Okay, let me go backtrack a little bit. So I had always this idea of writing a book, because I kept hearing all these people saying like, it's a great business card, and people kind of, it elevates your authority and your credibility, etc., etc. So I always knew I wanted to write a book. So I kind of started writing little piecemeal bits, like 500 words a day, and so I did that for a couple of years. And then in 2018, early in that year, I was turning 40, and I went, this is the year I'm going to do it, right? So I had like this thing. And so I sent off a couple of chapters to an editor to have a look at it. And she came back with all these questions. And I was like, and I read what I'd written. And I went, this is rubbish. This is absolute rubbish. And I binned the lot of it, right? So 2 years of work, I just binned it. I started again, and I wrote the book in a month. I wrote 35,000 words in the month while still working like 3-4 hours a day. And what I did was I hired a really great editor. She's based in Australia. And what I did was I worked backwards. So I said, right, okay, I need to get it to her by this date. So I wrote the first draft. I sent it to 5 test readers. Only one of those people knew about Tiny Time Big Results. The others were all completely like new to the concept. And I got their feedback. And that was so powerful. And then my editor gave me feedback as well, because that crystallized my intellectual property, my method, my proprietary method, the way that I was doing everything. And so, that really clicked into place. Like even one of my test readers became a client because she loved the book so much. She was like, I want to come and work with you. So it really made me feel like, okay, now I think I know what I'm doing now. Finally, I think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that book has been one of the best things that I've done in my business, because people, often email me and they go, I read your book and this is great. And, and I feel like that's the book that I wish I had when I first started, because then I'd know what to focus on.
Yeah, it's really great, a great overview. What is the business about, and what are the elements in the business, and what you should focus on. Yasmin, did you have any struggle when you were building your business, and how you overcome the biggest one?
Oh my God, do I have any struggle? Well, yes. And honestly, probably 80% of it was up here. Like the
mindset.
Yeah, constantly questioning myself, constantly questioning my worth, and it's interesting because I teach my clients how to sell high ticket. It's like one of the best things that you can do when you've got a tiny time business is to sell high ticket offers, premium packages, because that really helps to like increase your revenues without working long hours. It's a great way of, the 80-20 rule, so 80% of your revenues come from 20% of your clients. So, but it's so funny because I'll talk about like, but I started selling premium packages early on, and I'd be like selling 3K, 5K, 8K packages. That doesn't feel difficult to me because of the way that I create my offers. But I would often question myself, like, oh, this feels too easy. This shouldn't be so easy. I need to make it harder for myself, so then I'd put all these obstacles in my way. And, early on, I kind of figured out, I said, I'm not going to ask for permission. I don't need anyone to give me permission because there is nobody else, it's just me. But I think that I really felt that spring back, where you make really great progress and then you kind of, and then you pull back.
Yeah.
That for me meant that there was a lot of work I had to do on my own identity as a business owner. So it was like, who am I? It's like, are you the person who plays small? Who's like, just want to make 1K? Or are you the person that says, no, actually, do you know what? I want to make 5K. Who am I being? And I think that's always been the key thing for me. It's being very, very mindful of my own self-sabotage strategies. Because early on, I had no awareness of what my self-sabotage strategies were and how I was self-sabotaging. I would just, And also there was another thing, Ella, that really helped me understand myself better was I really have been learning about human design. And I'm a generator. And one of the things they talk about is that, there will be times where there'll be like a lull. That's normal. And when I heard that, it gave me such a sense of strength, sense of relief, because when I was experiencing lulls, I would panic. I'd be like, oh my God, I need to be doing something. And that was like, oh, it's okay. I don't have to be going.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah, it's normal. So to answer your question, yes, there's been many, many struggles.
And have you worked on your mindset yourself, or have you had a help?
Oh, I've loads of help. I
think
work
it's
with
easier.
I work with coaches, I work with healers, I do lots and lots of different things. Like I'm actually training to be a hypnotherapist at the moment, to be able to incorporate more hypnosis around the work of mindset.
By the way, what do you think about this RTT and this hypnotherapy?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, like, because for me, having learned how to do hypnosis, it's rewiring ourselves. It's really just rewiring what the program is in our subconscious, and I love that. I just think that's so powerful. So I'm a big fan. I'm studying it. I'm going to be a qualified hypnotherapist shortly. So
it's not dangerous that you can mess up with your subconscious?
No. For me, when I'm doing my hypnosis, like, what I'm doing is I'm making people incredibly relaxed. We're going into a deep sense of relaxation, and then it's really, I mean, it depends on who's doing your hypnosis. Like, God knows what they could be saying to you, but you're going to be in safe hands. We're working on a specific area, and even when I can see my fellow classmates, and and they're helping people with insomnia or weight loss or whatever it might be, like, I just think it's amazing. I'm open to what's out there. I'm also very discerning in terms of, like, I kind of go, that looks a bit weird, or that's a bit strange, very woo-woo though. So, like, I am really into all energy and all that kind of stuff.
And with all this support, what helps you the most with the mindset? The coach, or the hypnotherapy, or energy healers? What helps you the most?
I think of them as kind of like my kitchen larder, that they're all there that I can pick and use. What I find is, I mean, like, my sister and I, we talk every day on WhatsApp. We share Abraham Hicks clips with each other, like, we're always doing that. But what I find is the things that really help me is the daily stuff that I'm doing, like the journaling every day, or the meditating, because they're all things that, you can get help, and you can have increasing levels of awareness about what you're doing. Ultimately, though, nothing's going to happen unless I change what's going on for me internally, and then that reflects out into the world. So I often, when my kids are complaining that, whatever's going on, and I'd be like, think of yourself as a mirror. Like, what's going on for you out there is a reflection. It's like, do you have any beliefs that, this is really hard? Like, so if you think something's going to be really difficult, are you projecting that out there? And then things are really hard for you. And so I think when you change your internal world, it changes your external world. So all of those pieces, the coaches, the books, the videos, all of those things really help to kind of like round out what I'm doing. But you still have to do the daily things. It's your thoughts. You have to catch the thoughts. Yeah, exactly.
You have to know what you are thinking. Nobody else will tell you.
Yeah. And nobody has the magic wand. I often see in marketing where people kind of like, oh, it's just going to be like this, and you're just going to be able to do this. And it's like, there is no magic wand. And that frustrates me, because it's this sense that somebody is going to give you the answer, and someone else is going to fix it for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
And then people are, just start to become passive, and they're just waiting for a rescue instead of being active and really looking for a solution themselves. Exactly. Like, it's good to have support, but in fact, it's up to you to come up with the solution. You will be selling your products and services.
Exactly.
Okie dokie. Let's go. You have a website, because I'm a Squarespace website designer, so I'm just always wondering, and I always ask everybody, how do you use your website, and how website make your business easier and better? So, and if it is making it easier for me.
So I use my website as a shop front, essentially. Like, so if you were talk to somebody and you said, oh, I was, interviewing Yasmin, and they go, oh, let me check her out, and they go to my website.
Yeah.
I want them to get a sense of what it is I do. I want them to get a feel for me, my personality, all of those types of things. So I use the website as like an online brochure, shop front, but also as a way for people to kind of binge consume my content, so that they can feel like, oh, this is a person that I really want to work with. So, I mean, I use social media, I build my email list, I do a lot of email marketing, and then I might send them back to the website. So for me, the website is really powerful. But what I find is that people get so bogged down into building a website when they don't need to. Like, you could have a one-page website and that could be everything that you need it to be. I think that's the frustration, is where people feel like they have to have a website with many, many pages. You don't. Like, I remember I worked with a style coach and she had no website at all. And like, for a year, what we did was we created a landing page. So her homepage was just a homepage where people could sign up for her declutter guide. She used that for a year, built her list, did the email marketing, did the social media. She didn't need the website to be all singing, all dancing. So I think that that's really important. It's like the question that you just asked, like, how do you use the website? Don't just have a website so that you can go, okay, great, now I've built it, now all these clients are going to come. No, for me, the website is more a case of, I want them to go on it. I want them to go and read my blog or watch my videos or listen to my podcast, or, like, get a real feel. Because I'm very nosy. Like, I was looking at your website yesterday. It's like, I'm just looking around and getting a feel, and that's what, when they talk about, you need like 7 to 11, probably more touches, exposure to somebody, or you decide that, before they decide they're going to come and work with you. And that's what I want the website to do, is to be that thing where they can go, oh, great. And there's me, videos, podcasts, audio, so all the different formats as well. And then they can like figure out, I can go and see my offers and things like that. So that's the first thing I always do for other people. If you said to me like, oh, go and check out so-and-so, I'd go to their website first. I probably wouldn't go to their social media. I'd probably go to their website first.
Yeah. But also, people right now are very stressed for the time. They don't have time. So it's very important to have a very clear message. Because in fact, when somebody is landing on your page, it's only 3 to 5 seconds when they are making opinion about the business, if it's for them or not. Yeah. So let's talk about the clear message.
Yes.
It's very difficult. And to be honest, because when you are talking in person, you can, use different words, and you can, describe what you do. And on the website, it has to be one-liner.
Yeah.
It has to be really straight to the point. So tell me, do you have any suggestion how to create a clear and compelling message?
The dog is rolling around there. So my suggestion for the one-liner is get really clear on what problem you solve and who you solve it for. I think that's the most important thing. Like, if I was to be in a network meeting and everyone was going around and like saying what they do, I want to stand up. I don't want to have a really long-winded message. I want people to remember what I said, and then I want them to come and talk to me afterwards. And that's really important. And I think this is where people struggle, that their messages are bland, they're wordy, they're like, there's just too many words, there's too much jargon in there. And, I think of it like, when you have like the police lineup, if there was like 10 of you, like if there were 10 people who did what you do, what would make you stand out? What would make someone go, oh, I want to go and work with that person? And that's where the messaging is so important. And for years, I was in messaging wilderness. Like, I remember I had all these different, I was vague, I was generic, I was bland, that's why I can say that now, because I did all of those things. But that's what I would really get people to think about, and often I'll do that probing, just like my coach does for me. But what is it that you really do? Like what's the result that someone's going to get for, when they come and work with you? And that's the thing, because I think too many people lead with their modality. Like I'm a hypnotherapist. I'm never going to say that I'm a hypnotherapist. That's not how I would introduce myself. It's like, oh, I do EFT, or I do whatever. People lead with their modality instead of actually leading with the problem that they solve. And that's what business is all about. It's about solving problems. So if you're clear on the problem that you solve, like I help people to make more money without working long hours. And then you're going to go, oh, tell me more. Now we can have that conversation. Right. But it's really important that you're clear on it, and you're really clear on who. The who is so important.
Yeah.
because, you know, I often get people saying like, well, everybody could benefit from my work. And it's like, well, that's great. And I'm delighted for you. But if you had to choose a group of people that you could get a result for quickly, who would that be? And then focusing on that, because if business owners are struggling to build momentum, if they're like, oh, I'm not getting enough clients, etc., then that's what I want them to think about is, you know, who can I get a result for quickly? You know, I'm not saying that you have to work with them for the rest of your life, but like for the next 6 months, just work with that group of people, get money coming in, build that momentum. You know, all the big names that you see, they didn't start off by being like covering lots and lots of different things. They focused in on one specific thing. Like Tony Robbins started curing phobias. You know, then he built it the big business that he has now.
Yeah, but I think, you know, many people are struggling with message because they are not sure what audience they want to serve, and they are afraid of niching down. Because, you know, niching down, it means that you are getting too specific. They're afraid to be specific. Yeah. And when we are not specific, it's difficult to have a specific message.
It's so true. And it's so funny. It's like, what are you afraid of? It's like, oh, well, I don't want to exclude anybody. I was like, but like, just because
you don't have clients now.
Yeah, you know, you kind of go, well, I just think that, you know, it just feels so counterintuitive. You know, you kind of think, okay, but you want to make money? You want to bring clients in? Okay, like get really clear and specific. And I like messaging that's really filtering. You know, it filters you out or it filters you in. You know, I remember this woman was, she was like, had her messaging was like, you know, I work with 8-figure business owners. And it's like, grand. Anybody who's 7, 6, 5 figures, they're going to be like, this is not for me. And so when you're talking directly to that person, it's so much easier. It is so much easier to create content. It's so much easier to, you know, put webinars on for that person. And that's my thing is like, talk to one person. Just talk to one person. And there's multiples of that person. But if you're talking to her, you know, then she's going to hear you or he's going to hear you, and your messaging will just be so much more powerful and impactful than if you try to talk to everybody and then you cover all angles, and then it just loses.
I love the power of one offer, one target audience, like one idea client and one call to action. And that makes that, you know, it's much easier and everything is much more specific and to the point. Okay, Yasmin, because the time is running, the last thing, my last question. What is the one thing, when you have everything sorted, when your business is set up, when you have your message, when you have your target audience, your offer, what is the one thing you should do daily to move your business forward? If you have very little time, so just one thing.
Sell. Like connect with people, you know, if it's you know, like if you're connecting with people who've commented on your social media, if you're just reaching out to someone who might be a good collaborator with you, you know, if it's someone like, you know, similar to, you know, how you connected with me, Ella. You know, selling is not always about Ella, do you want to come and buy my stuff? It's about, okay, maybe I might contact Ella and say, maybe I could do a webinar for your clients, you know, and then that leads to sales. But it's about understanding that, you know, and I actually just I hosted a Q&A session for some of my students. And the question was very much around, you know, like, should I do more digital products? What should I do? And I was like saying, I said, creating and getting into that space of creating makes it feels really seductive. Because, like, you're sitting behind the laptop. Like, oh,
it's the easy part, to be honest.
Easy part. And listen, we all do it, so there's no shame and there's no judgment. But that's stopping you from getting out there and meeting people and actually selling and telling people what you're offering. Like, so for me, selling looks like I'm writing my content, I'm putting up my posts, inviting people to come and book a call with me, or inviting people to comment or messaging me or whatever it might be. So selling is not always buy my stuff. It's create content that really speaks to them, do a Q&A session for my students, whatever it might be, but I'm talking about what it is that I help people with. I'm letting people know that I'm open for business. That's what you should be focusing on every single day.
Yeah, brilliant. Yasmin, where can we find you? And you have also a freebie for us.
I do. So you can find me at yasminvorajee.com. I appreciate that that's not always the easiest name to spell. So if you look for Tiny Time Big Results, you will find me.
And I will also leave your link to your website on the description below.
Perfect. So you can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Yas Vorajee. I have a guide that's called The Fastest Path to Cash in Your Tiny Time Business. And so I know, Ella, you're going to be putting the link there for that as well. That guide really talks about premium packages and kind of goes deeper into the whole idea of really 80-20-ing your revenue. So like, honestly, I literally was just talking about this. It's like, a couple of clients every month and you could have a really healthy business. For me, I like to keep business simple and lucrative.
I'm the same. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you very much for watching, for listening. And I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.